Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that. All right. Good morning, everyone. Shh. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. Today is the last class for the midterm. Let me give you just some information about the midterm before we get started. It will be one of my old midterms. I won't tell you which one, but it's one of the old ones, so you'll have to be surprised. I will email you the file around 8:30 that morning. Come to class, do it in Microsoft Word. I don't need ExamSoft. I don't need any sort of elaborate. It creates so much extra work for all of you. It's really not worth it. So type it in Word and email me the file when you're done. Just if you can make the file name your last name, that would make my life a lot easier. I wouldn't have to Untitled Document 73. I don't know who the hell you are, right? And just you put your name on it. There's no blind grades in midterm because I will go over them with you, so it's not like anonymous. So just put your name on it. So I'll email you the file right around 8:30 a.m. You can do it right here. I want you to do it in person. I don't want you doing it at home. I want you to actually simulate what a test environment looks like with no distraction. So come here. You'll have the file we emailed. Okay. The format is predictable. The format is predictable. If you look at my old exam, I'll just pick one at random. Let's go to 2016. One of those we probably were not even in college yet. Where is it? Oh, of course, it's not opening. Okay. I tried the one. I tried 2017. Why is this not opening? I'm having some weird okay, this one should open, I think. Weird connectivity issues. Okay. So the format's always the same. 90 minutes, 1,000 word limit. Pay very close attention to the word limit, but more important to the time. I find that the number one reason why students don't do well in the midterm is they run out of time. They simply do not account for how much time it takes. Now, the exam's short. If you look at it, it's only about a page. My goodness, a page and a half. They think, oh, my goodness, page and a half take me 20 minutes. No, it won't. You should probably budget 20, maybe even 30 minutes just reading the question. I encourage you to read the entire question straight through once. Start with the instructions. The instructions are very important. The instructions up here. It's really hard to read. It's very small. Let me make it bigger. The instructions are very important because the instruction I'm looking for. For example, you might be in a common law jurisdiction, or you might be in a modern jurisdiction. Remember, we've discussed different types of rules for common law and modern law. You need to know the differences. But read the instructions very carefully. Then there'll be fact patterns, right? You might have had a paragraph of text followed by a question. A couple sentences of text followed by a question. A couple sentences of text followed by a question. Each question is worth 20%. Very easy for me to grade. Okay? I grade each question on a scale of 1 to 10. All right? So a perfect score is a 50. Makes it very easy for me to grade. What's the difference between a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, a 7, an 8, a 9, and a 10? The difference is how deep you go into the analysis. merely giving me what the correct rule might be 5 or 6 points, maybe 7. Correctly applying the rule to the given fact pattern, the A, in the Iraq, the A, that might be 7 or 8 or 9. And if you want the 9 or the 10, which are frankly very rare in the midterm, I don't give a lot of 9s and 10s. But if you want the 9 or 10, you have to sort of work in some of the more deeper analytical policy issues we think about why the answer might be what it is. So again, if you want the 9 or the 10, you have to give me the sort of the why, the deeper policy. You want to get 7 or 8, you have to apply the rule correctly. Give me the rule, it might give you 5 or 6 points. That's almost half credit. So the grading is fairly neutral, right? Grading's pretty, I shouldn't say it's easy, it takes me a lot of time. But in theory, your grades will be very easy to determine. Make sure each question is roughly 200 words, right? If there's 5 questions, and you have a 1,000-word limit, roughly 200 words each. If you type in 1,000 words in the first part, you're going to go over your words. Moreover, if you spend all this time typing so much, you're probably not going to finish. Okay, so think very carefully before you start writing. When you have this midterm, it's open book. That means paper. I know you'll have tablets, you'll have devices. You have to print it out. And the reason why is it avoids cheating. I don't have a good answer for you, but that's the policy we have. If I allow you to have open laptop or open tablet, there's no way for me to police what's going on. So unfortunately, print your stuff out, kill the trees, I'm sorry. But that's how it is. But the plus side is your notes won't help you. I mean that sincerely. You think, oh my God, open book is so easy. No, it's not. If I want to be mean, I'll give you a closed book exam. That's a lot easier, right? The open book exam is written in a way that your notes will not help you. If you're just going to copy down a rule statement from your outline, you might get a C. Maybe, if you're lucky, because it's not answering the question. What I'm looking for is for stuff that's not in your notes, right? For stuff that you read the exam and you realize, oh, this is a new thing. Which is why people pre-write answers, do all these convoluted things. I don't know, whatever. Okay, so the best thing you can do, all of you, the best thing that you all could do would be over the weekend, take one of the old midterms, take 90 minutes and just try it in quiet, straight, not like 30 minutes here, 20 minutes there. Sit for 90 minutes and try and take it. You don't want to walk into this cold without any prep. You will be sabotaging yourself. I tell you this, you don't like when I say it, but it's true. Your midterm grade is probably your final exam grade. Not always, but it's a good indication. So how you take seriously this midterm probably spells what you can do for the final. I usually have several future interest questions in the midterm. You can see this one, I think I have a couple. You need to know this topic. And the questions I ask in the future interest parts are not going to be straightforward, like from ODA for life. It's not going to be that. It's going to be a convoluted fact pattern with different people and different transactions, different points in time. And you need to walk through it step by step. All right. So again, you'll have the midterm. I'll email to you at 8:30. If you want to start early, you can. I'm not going to be keeping time because it's not really graded. But this is on you. But I do want you to do in this room. I think it does help you get the right frame of mind. What else do I want to tell you about it? Yeah, again, email it to me, but just make your last name the file name. That makes it easier for me to do it. During spring break, I'll be setting up times to go over them. Every year I try and do midterm reviews differently, and it never works well, no matter what I do. And the reason why, and don't take this critically, is the students who need the help the most tend not to come to these sessions, either because they're embarrassed or they're afraid or whatever. And it breaks my heart. So what happens is I open up the Zoom room, right? And then like all the A students at the top of the queue, which I love talking to A students. It's pleasure, but that's not what needs the most help, right? I'll go over the exam on Thursday, a week from today. So you'll know pretty quick what you got, right? I would love to grade all 170 midterms, but it'll take too long. I've done it before. You won't get your papers back till mid-April, and by that point, it's too late. So I'm doing a class where I go over it. You'll grade yourself, and we come talk about it. It's more productive use of my time. I can't get you the exams quickly enough to be meaningful. If I had one section, I could do it, but not with two. It just I can't pull it off in a single spring break. It's too many papers to read. But please come talk to me if you're not in good shape. We can correct course. All right. I think I covered everything I want to cover. Are there any questions on the midterm, just the format or things? Yes, Amar. I don't know yet. I'm going to actually ask you a week from Thursday on your suggestions. So actually, that's one. If you think of different ways of doing this on Zoom, tell me. I've tried different things and they all suck, right? I've had sign-up lists. The problem is people miss their sessions. So I'm sitting there for 30 minutes waiting and the person's not there. I've also had just a long queue that just goes on forever all day long. And whoever's next comes in. And that's sort of unfair to you because you have to sit around on Zoom all day. The opposite is I sit around waiting that no one's there because they missed their appointment. And then what am I supposed to do? And then some people, their session takes 5 minutes because they did really well. And other people, I need a full 30 minutes. So I've also done it alphabetically where certain days of the week or on certain days, people say, that's not fair. And it wasn't like A through Z. I did it randomly. It's like, oh, I'm N, but I'm last, right? It was random. So no matter what I do, people aren't happy, right? I mean this sincerely. No matter what format I choose, someone will not get the feedback they want when they want it. And I thought about this for almost a month over Christmas break. I have no idea. So if you have proposals, you can make them. I won't promise I'll accept them. But if you have ideas, come up with it. But keep in mind, I have 170 of you in my two sections. If you multiply 100, I'll do it 170 times 30 minutes. Okay, that's 5,100 minutes. Okay, divided by 60. That's 85 hours. I meet with every student for half an hour. 85 hours. Spring break is not that many hours. So just we have to. Of course, not all of you will come though, which is why it's not as bad as it sounds. But if I did every student for half an hour, it'd be almost 90 hours of meetings, which is just. I mean, I don't have a time turner. I can't do that, right? I'm not able to. But think about it if you have ideas. Yes, Brianne.
I kind of want an idea.
Okay.
What if for the students who maybe didn't do as well, you left the time 30 minutes?
I've tried that, and the gunner stated.
Okay.
Like,
and then just like for the people who did a little bit.
well,
better.
but I'm not grading them. Right. So it's self-assessment. I mean, I could reserve the first day for those who think they didn't do well. But look, it's self-pleasing. People aren't going to expect it. They'll just show up and say, oh, I think I got a B, and that sucks, right? Trust me. Trust me, I've done this before. So, Brand, you're exactly right. One semester I did this, we actually graded this. If you got a C or lower, you come first, right? On the first day. No one showed up that day. No one showed up. And I'm like, okay, so I barely burned a day. But it's a good idea. And if this is what consensus is, I'm happy to do it because it's very considerate of those who need the help the most. But I find the students who need the most help don't come. All right. And this is what's frustrating. I mean this sincerely. When I look at these midterms, I see, man, this student didn't do well. I'm like, who is this person? I've never seen them outside of class. I have no idea who they are. I mean, I know where they sit, but I don't really know who they are. And it's the students who need the help that don't come. We've had discussions on this as a faculty. It's just the most perverse thing. You're paying almost $37,000 a year for tuition. I'm aware. That's what I'm referring to. I'm referring to that. It was like $37,000 a year for tuition. You don't pay extra by coming to talk to me. It's like I'm included. It's like, it's part of the package. And too many students, it's true. It's not like you prep. You don't pay per credit, but you don't pay for an office hour. It's not like you have to pay my fee. I don't get paid extra. But anyway, so Brianna, your point is very compassionate and considerate of your other students. But I've done that. They don't show up. And people, I'm going on vacation for spring break. I'm going to Cancun, whatever. I don't know. Even during COVID, people are going on vacation. So who the hell knows what's happening this year? It's going to be wild. Yeah? I don't know. All righty. Anything else before I get started? I don't see any hand. All right. I need to make 2 corrections from the notes on Tuesday. And I hate doing this because I know your notes are so sacrosanct and holy. I actually got it right the first time. And then students said, well, Professor Blackman, isn't this something or other? I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then I realized, no, they weren't right. So I'm not going to call on those people because I don't want to, whatever, but I got to correct a couple things. So I think the first one I said was in the life estate table. I think I said on this one where it says A for life and to B's children. I said O as reversion. I think I may have said that. Did I say that? There's no reversion here. Okay, and I want to just make that point real clear. The reason why is that B's living child has a vested remainder. even if B were to die, the heirs of, let's call the child Billy, right? Even if Billy dies, Billy's heirs would inherit that vested remainder. It will never go back to O. So there's no reversion. I think I said that. I'm not positive. If I did, I apologize. It's again, this is a hard class to teach. You've done it before. There's so many moving parts, and I have to be honest with you about that. Like when I prep for class, I'm like, oh man, what the hell's the answer to that question? I have to like work it through myself in advance. So I seem all smart up here, but I have to struggle every year. It's true. I every year I'm like, oh crap, what's the difference between a possible revert? I have to go through it in my head because it's not easy. Maybe some professors know cold. I don't. I have to reteach myself every year. That's how it works. I think the other thing I said wrong was in the contingent remainder. Which one was it? Here it is. It was this one, right? No, it was alternative. Which one was that? Which example is that?
Yeah.
3B? Okay, I'm going to do 3B actually next. Okay, that's what it was. Okay. Oh, it was actually 3A. Okay, so let's do 3A. All right. All right, it says Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma. Then to Baker if Baker's reached the age of 21. But if Baker has not reached the age of 21, to Chris. All right. So you can see the answers in front of you, which I suppose is unfair, but let's walk through this. Right? Alex has a life estate. Right? That's the easy part. Poor Alex dies in every class. You won't die again after this class, I promise. You are living healthy after this class. It's good to know, right? Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma. Then to Baker if Baker's reached the age of 21. You have a future interest following a natural termination. It's remainder. Goes to a third party, Baker. Is this remainder vested or contingent? It's contingent because there is a condition precedent if Baker's reached the age of 21. And we know that's a condition precedent because it's within the same clause. It comes before the remainder. The first future interest is the contingent remainder. We have a second future interest. But if Baker has not reached the age of 21 to Chris, again, we have a remainder. Follows a natural termination, death of Alex, goes to a third party. Is there a condition precedent? Yes. Baker reaching the age of 21. Therefore, we have two contingent remainders. These are called the alternative contingent remainders. The alternative contingent remainders. All right. There's no reversion here. And I think I misspoke. Someone asked me, I was sort of in the class and I burned out. I was like, yeah, reversion. No, there's no reversion here. The reason why is that either Baker gets it or Chris gets it. There's no circumstance in which Ollie gets it back. If Baker's 21, congratulations, you get it. Baker's dead, not 21 yet. It goes to Chris. And I apologize. I really hate when I say something wrong. I was beating myself up all last night saying, oh, damn it, Josh, why'd you do that? And then I was like, okay, let me go clean this up in the first thing. All right. Everyone cool with that? We got that. It wasn't a huge error, but I apologize for it.
Condition precedent means that Chris does not reach age 21.
No, Baker.
Or Baker, sorry.
Yeah. The condition precedent is that Baker does not reach age 21. That's correct. Okay. Questions on that one? Let's do 3B now. And again, this is review. We did this one already yesterday. I want to do it again. Okay. 3B. It says, Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma. Then to Baker, comma. But if Baker dies under the age of 21 to Chris. Okay. So it begins. Blackacre followed Alex for life, Alex's life estate. Okay. Then to Baker, comma. This grammar is very important. It says then to Baker, comma. If we just look at this phrase, then to Baker, it's a future interest that follows a natural termination. That's Alex's life and goes to a third party. Remainder, no big deal. Baker's ascertained. There is no condition precedent. There's none. There's a condition subsequent. There's a condition that comes after that comma, but there's no condition before he gets it. So what actually happens here is that upon Alex's death, Baker gets Blackacre, and he holds on to it. For how long? Well, if he turns 21, he keeps it forever. If he dies before the age of 21, he loses it. Who takes it? Our good friend, Chris. Right? What do we call a future interest that cuts short the interest of a transferee? It's an executory interest or executory limitation. Chris has an executory limitation. Chris will cut short Baker's interest if Baker dies before the age of 21. So we say that Chris has a shifting executory interest. It's shifting because Baker is a transferee and cutting short transferee's interest. And we say that Baker has a vested remainder. It's vested in fee simple, but that's subject to Chris's shifting executory interest. How are we doing? Walk through it one step at a time if you're not sure. There are a lot of moving parts in that question. To go forwards and backwards in the future, back to the future. It's not straightforward. Camera angle. Questions? Oh, John, go ahead.
Do you have a contingent remainder that's subject to statutory limitation?
I hate that. I was hoping you wouldn't ask that question. I don't want to say never, because it's really bad to say never, but usually not. Usually not. You will usually have a pairing, right? So remember I told you the first pairing, you have these alternate contingent remainders, right? You also usually have a vested remainder subject to some sort of executory limitation, right? The reason why, and I'm going to answer John's question perhaps a little bit unpleasantly, is at common law, contingent remainders were disfavored. They were destroyed, right? The courts say this contingent remainder is destroyed, so you didn't really care what happened to a contingent remainder, it was just destroyed. But a vested remainder could exist. So you have these executory interests that limit the vested remainders that can exist. So it was an entire way of getting around the law, right? All of this was a way of getting around the destruction of contingent remainders. If you want to get really bored, read the chapter on the destruction of contingent remainders. It's in your book. I'm not teaching it to you because I used to teach it and I gave it. It's too much work, too much confusion for so little gain that I don't do it anymore. I probably should, but I just don't have time. I mean, like I'm doing almost 7 classes on this topic with a midterm and a review. I don't have days left. There's no more days for me to do it. All right, everyone gets 3A and 3B. And just look how similar they are. Compare one to the other. They're almost identically worded. But the difference between 3A and 3B is a comma. It's basically a comma. And the comma radically alters how the question works. Yes, Stephanie.
So, in 3A, says that if you have anyone, this is the same.
Correct.
sentence, that's
Contingent remainder.
precedent. Or
Correct.
clause, not
It's a condition precedent, which makes it a contingent remainder. Correct.
sentence. Right, and so if it's after.
That's not a condition precedent.
Subsequent.
Correct. But don't say fee simple subject condition subsequent. That's what the temptation is. As soon as you say subsequent, oh, it's the other one. It says but if, right? No, that's not it. But you're correct, Stephanie. It's a matter of logic. You're 100% correct. How are we doing at 3B? Good. All right. I did not have time to do 3C in class last week. I didn't do my other section either. So they didn't get it either. So let's do 3C. Again, this is their notes from last class, nothing new. All right. So it says, everyone, Blackacre, Ollie to Alex for life, comma, then to Baker if Baker reaches the age of 21. This one is almost proving in Stephanie's question I sort of had in mind. All right, let me call on someone because this is new. Who am I to now? Oh, Tatiana. Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. So Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life. I'll start you off. Alex is a life estate. That's the easy part. Okay. So now what's the future interest? We don't have Chris here, just Baker. Why do you say contingent remainder? Walk me through your thinking, please. Okay. All right, good. So Tatiana says that Baker has a contingent remainder. Okay. Why? There's a future interest. It follows a natural termination, and it goes to a third party. Okay. So Lily, you next. Okay, Lily, let me ask you a question. Right? Let's say that Alex dies. Okay. And then at that time Baker's 20. What happens to Blackacre?
He would go back to
Ollie. So what does Ollie have here?
he has a conversion.
Why is it a reversion?
Follows the natural termination of the life.
Good. Perfect answer. Very good. Thank you. So Tatiana says Baker is contingent remainder. Okay. And then Lillian says there's reversion. Right? When you have a contingent remainder, always think of what happens if it doesn't vest. If Baker is not yet 21 when Alex dies. Now that's, everyone get that. Everyone see that. Now, the reason why this question's a little tricky is the language, right? In the first question, 3A, we wrote in a very, very clear fashion. Blackacre from Ollie to Alex for life, comma, then to Baker if Baker's reached age of 21, comma, but if Baker's not to Chris. We spelled it very clearly what happens at each step. The 3C is shorter. There's a different way of reading 3C. Alex, let's say if I told you that after let's start again. Alex, let me try a different hypothetical. Let's say I told you that when Alex dies, Baker's 20. And at that point, Baker might have a shot of getting it later in life. Right? In this first example, if he's not 21, he will never get it. Might there be an alternate way of reading this question such that Baker might get it when he turns 21? Think about it. Imagine you're Baker's lawyer. Again, this is how it comes up, right? If you're Ollie's lawyer, you take Lillian's answer, right? If you're the lawyer for Ollie, you like Lillian's answer because that means Ollie has a few simple, right? Now, Alex, you represent Baker. Baker just turned 21 and he wants Blackacre. What's your argument? Oh, what a good answer. You're right. Walk me through that. What happens after Alex dies? I'm sorry? Baker's 20. Didn't turn 20. He's 20 years old. And what happens when Baker reaches 21?
And then he gets,
Who's he?
then Baker gets a piece of milk and
All right, let's walk through this, right? So I'm going to call this option 1, right? And this is this one that Lillian and Tatiana gave us a minute ago. Let's do option number 2. By the way, on my exam, most questions can be answered different ways. There's not just one right answer. So if you like take the exams like, oh man, what'd you put for 3? It's like, no, I put this for this. You might both be right. Drives you nuts. But I'll send you the answer key. I mean, everything's online, but I'll send you the answer key that same day, so you don't have to torture yourself. Okay. So Alex, let's try this again. Alex's life essay, right? What would we call Baker's future interest here? A little bit louder, please.
Baker has a springing.
Oh, you're so close. Not a springing contingent remainder. It's bringing what? You got the hard part right. You got the easy part wrong. You got the springing part right. It's not a contingent remainder. Correct. Okay. All right. Here's how this works. After Alex dies, Blackacre's got to go somewhere. And it probably goes to Ollie's reversion. And Ollie's is just sit there waiting to see what happens to Baker. If Baker reaches the age of 21, Ollie loses it. If Baker dies before he reaches the age of 21, Ollie keeps it forever. So what's happening is a third party is cutting short the interest of the transferor, Ollie. Again, a third party is cutting short the interest of the transferor, Ollie. That is a springing executory limitation. So we say that Baker has a springing executory limitation, and Ollie has a reversion subject to Baker's springing executory limitation. Everyone see that? Everyone see option number 2? Everyone see that? Lamar, you see it? You're doing like the air traffic control. No, it's good.
Yeah, I got it.
That's Sophia.
So for an exam, would either one of you?
I'm going to tell you which one next, which I like better. Maybe 30 seconds. Before I come to which one I like better, any questions? Everyone see how I derive answer 1 and answer 2. All right. I prefer option 1, right? The reasons perhaps are not going to be entirely satisfactory, but I like option 1 better. Usually when you have a future interest following a life estate, and it goes into effect right away. For example, if Baker's already 21, it's a remainder, right? Usually when you have a life estate where it goes into effect right away, it's a remainder. Springing executory interests are very rare. In fact, I have to work very hard to make up a springing example. Like the funeral question, they're very rare. If I had to pick, if you gave me a choice, pick one, I'd pick option number 1. But I think option number 2 is absolutely reasonable. And if you put that, you get full credit. I don't think one's more right than the other, but I would just knowing I'm more inclined to go with contingent remainder because springing interests are just very rare in the law. Not a good answer, but that's, Sophia, is that satisfactory? Not really, but that's what I got. But if you want to go either direction, now here's why I give this to you. Questions go different ways. I'm on a property law listserv, which sounds really boring. Maybe it is. And we had a question recently where like 15 law professors were fighting over how to characterize a future interest. Like one professor said, I had this question, I don't know how to answer it. And like all these professors were like, no, it's this, it's this, it's this, it's this. I wouldn't even show it to you because your eyes will blow up, right? But even people who do this for a living don't always know the answer. And the reason why I gave Alex this question, if you're the lawyer, right? If you're the lawyer for Baker, you want option 2 because that means you get it back. But if you're the lawyer for Ollie, you want to keep it, you go with Lillian's answer. Yes, Alex. I'm sorry? But Baker reached 21. Again, if you're representing Baker, Baker's still alive. Right? So your client's alive and he reached 20. I was like, okay, now I want Blackacre. Alex died too early. If Alex died a year later, I'll have Blackacre. Yeah, I mean, option 2 is probably more fair, but it's just rare to have executory interest that divest the transfer. That just doesn't happen often. All right. Questions on 3A, B, or C? Okay. If you go to the class notes for today, please. This is document 15. These are all the examples from the book. I've skipped them quite deliberately and saved them for this class. I have about an hour left. I'll go through as many of these as I can. But first, I'm going to the examples from the book, and then there are problems in the book. They're at the end of the chapter. And they're actually the answer key for these questions. So if you want to practice over the weekend, do these review problems. But I'll get through as many of them as I can in the next hour. Okay. Ready? All right. Let's see if we can do this in a good pace. All right, Amar. Example number 1. What are the present and future interests in example number 1?
A has a present interest in life estate. O has a future interest in reversion.
In? Keep going.
In fee simple.
Thank you. Yep. Make sure you don't forget that last part. I can just points off, right? A is present interest in life estate. O is future interest in reversion and fee simple. Remember when they were this easy? Remember this like last week? Oh my God, what the hell's a fee simple? Right now you're all getting crazy. This looks so easy now, right? By comparison. All right, Sean, let's do example number 2, please. See how we get along with this one. Okay. O conveys Whitaker to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs if B survives B survives A. What are the present and future interests here? List them all. Good. Good. Why is it contingent remainder? Well, first off, why is it a remainder?
Because it's a natural determination.
Good. 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 And then why is it contingent?
Because there is a condition precedent that B has to survive.
Correct. Yeah. Very good. Okay, so you're not done yet, Sean. What else is there?
O has a future interest in reversion.
Excellent. Good. Why?
Because it's a natural determination that follows the logic to go back to transfer or.
Okay, good. Very good. All right. Very good. Thank you all. Straightforward, right? Everyone see this? All right. Example number 3. Let's be for Halden. All right. O conveys to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs. This was easy, perhaps.
A has a present interest in life estate.
Correct.
And then B has a future interest in vested remainder.
Okay. Why is it a vested remainder, sir?
Because it's going to her heirs, so she gets.
That's not what a vested remainder is. It's a rule. Why is it a vested remainder?
Because it's not subject to condition precedent,
And
and the remainder is given to an ascertained person.
who's the ascertained person here?
The heir.
No.
With ascertained.
Who's the ascertained person here? Heirs are not ascertained. That's absolutely wrong. Who's the ascertained? Who has the remainder? You told me.
B.
Who is B ascertained?
Yeah.
Okay, now try it again. Why is the vested remainder? good. Thank you. Okay, it's vested remainder. B's ascertained. It's not that B's heirs are ascertained. We don't care about the heirs. When you see the phrase "and his heirs," that's just telling us fee simple. That's all it's telling us. We don't know who the heirs are. Heirs are not determined until the death of I guess the death of B in this case. All right, come with me. All right, let's try this again. Example number 4 is before page. O conveys to A for life, comma, then to A's children and their heirs, period. And I tell you that A is one child, B. Okay, what are the present and future interests in example number 4? Very good. I'm sorry, louder.
B has a future interest.
Whoa, we took it just about B. Should we jump right to B? You're cutting out everyone else.
A has a future interest.
Oh, A is dead. A is life estate. Who has a future interest here? It's not just B. Don't say their heirs. It doesn't matter. Who has a future interest here? Whose children?
A children.
Okay. So A's children have a future interest. What kind of future interest do the children have?
A contingent remainder,
Why do you say contingent?
because it was not given to an ascertained person.
What about B, the child? Is he ascertained?
Yes,
So I revise your answer.
yes.
What kind of remainder is it?
A vested remainder subject to open.
What's the vested remainder subject to open?
A vested remainder is not following not subject to condition precedent and is given to an ascertained person.
Okay, so stop right there. Why is this vested?
Because he is ascertained.
At least one child in the class is ascertained. That's all you need, right? B is ascertained. Therefore, this is vested remainder. Is there a condition precedent here, Paige? Isn't the condition precedent A having kids? Why? Why is that not correct? Isn't there a condition precedent A must have children before A dies? I mean, if you're dead, you can't have kids. Is that a condition? Why not? What do you need to see in the statement to have a condition present? What do you need to read? Conditional language. Is there any conditional language here? Ah, okay. So it's a future interest, invested remainder. Why is it subject to open? Okay. One more question. A couple more questions, Paige. Paige, what happens if B dies? What happens to his remainder?
There's no other children,
No other children.
and it would go back to O.
No, that's not correct. What happens if B dies? A's dead. Okay, so B has invested remainder, right? We know that much. What happens if B dies? What happens to his remainder? He has no other brothers or sisters. I did this in start of class. The first thing I said. I made a mistake this last time, so I corrected it. 30 seconds of class.
These errors?
Why would I put a B's errors?
Because you can't destroy a vested.
Good. That's
vested
good.
remainder.
So does O get anything? Does O reversion here?
No.
Okay, here we go. Thank you. Be very careful that that's remainder subject to open. On this question, Paige is not alone. She happened to be next in the draw, so she got the burn, right? But a lot of you probably had the same thought. So, oh, it's contingent remainder because the class can big or smaller. No, there's no condition precedent. It's vested, but it's subject to open. And because it's a vested remainder, O never gets it back. Even if B dies, B's heirs will inherit that future interest. O gets nothing. So the answer here is present interest in life estate. The children, including B, the future interest, invest remainder subject to open. Is that a question? Okay, that's fine. Everyone get number 5, number 4. Everyone get number 4? All right, Jaime, let's do number 5, please. I'm just going to plow through these. Only read it, please. It says, O conveys to A for life, comma, then to the heirs of B. And I tell you that B is alive. So we start off, A has a present interest in life estate. What's going on here, Jaime? How do we do this one? This one's hard, actually. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. I appreciate it.
Well, to start, these errors have a
I'm sorry? Okay, so you said B's heirs have a contingent remainder in fee simple. Now, Jaime, do we know who B's heirs are at this point? When will we know who B's heirs are? No. When do we determine a person's heirs?
at the time
No. You're alive, right? I think so, right? Do you have heirs? No. Do I have heirs? No, I don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't. I don't have heirs. When are a person's heirs determined? It's a very important point. When does a person's heirs determine? When they die, yeah. You're dead, you have heirs. When I'm dead, I have heirs. I have no heirs today. I have a lovely family I love very dearly. I have no heirs. Okay? So I'll ask you again, Jaime. When will B's heirs be determined? Okay. So at the point that this conveyance is drafted, are B's heirs ascertained? Okay. So is this a vested remainder or a contingent remainder? Okay, contingent remainder. All right, so let's keep going. Let's say when A dies, B is still alive. Does B have any heirs if he's still alive?
No.
What happens to Blackacre if at A's death, B is still alive?
It goes back to O.
What do you call that future interest?
That would be a possibility to revert.
Oh, you did it. You did it. Oh, I was going to trick you on that next one, but you walked into it. That is not correct. What do you call the future interest? It's not a possibly reverting. You did exactly what I warned you not to do.
Would it have to be right? No.
No, it's not that either. Jaime, let's walk through this. A dies, right? It either goes to the heirs of B or goes to A. What do you call the future interest after the natural termination of the life estate?
Oh, reversion.
Correct. So O has. What does O have?
Oh, has a future interest
In. Okay, thank you. Everyone see what he did there? Again, Jaime is not alone. There are probably 15 who did the same thing. He's like, oh, maybe reversion, maybe not. Possible murder. No. The possibility reverters match the fee simple determinable. You're going to make this mistake in the exam. I promise you, you will do it. It's reversion in fee simple. When you have a contingent remainder, always be on the lookout that there's something that comes after it. It's got to go somewhere if the condition's not satisfied. In this case, it's reversion back to O. Now, did anyone read this differently? Maybe a second way to read this. I did. I think the other one actually might be better. But actually, this first one's better, but there's another way of reading it. Anyone see it? Yeah, walk me through that one.
Okay, so these errors for and
So I'm gonna call this 1 second. I'll call this option number 1. I'll do option number 2. Right? In both options, A has a present interest in life estate. What's option 2, Will?
he has a these errors have a contingent remainder in the permutation.
Muddled. So let's walk through this one step at a time, right? Lisa, so let's walk through this. Maybe we read this differently, right? It says from O to A for life, comma, that the heirs of B. What if we say when A dies and B is still alive, O will hold on to it for a while. O holds on to it for a while. Until when? Until B dies. And once B's heirs are ascertained, those heirs will cut short the interest of O. Can we do that? How would we characterize what I just described? It's not shifting, but we'll start with executory limitation. We would say that B's heirs have a future interest, an executory limitation. What does O have here? Well, future interest in what? Because you can't have a future interest. It's got to be an actual future interest. A future interest. Reversion. Why is it still reversion? Correct. It still follows Alex's death. Upon Alex's death, it goes back to O. Not a possibility reversion, straight up reversion, right? So reversion, but it's not in fee simple, Lisa. What is it subject to? Not B. B's dead. Subject to whose executory limitation? Who has a future interest here? Who's cutting short O's interest? B's heirs, correct. So B's heirs, executory limitation. Leon, let's walk through this. This is very complex. At the time of A's death, Baker's still alive. Blackacre's got to go somewhere. So Blackacre goes back to O temporarily. He holds on to it. What is he waiting for? The death of B. Upon the death of B, heirs are going to be ascertained. The heirs of B will cut short O's interest. So Lisa, finish it up. What do you call an executory limitation that cuts short the interest of the transferor? O. Springing. O is the transferor. His interest is being cut short. O has a springing. B has a springing executory limitation. It's springing because it's cutting short the interests of the transferor. You see how I just did that, right? Almost any question with a contingent remainder and reversion can be recharacterized as a reversion with the executory limitation. Now, I like option number 1 better for the same reason I gave before. I think option 1's a better answer. But if you want to do option number 2, good for you. Yes, Tiffany.
If we have time in the, do we get extra?
Not really. No, pick one. Pick one. I think number 1's better, but if you do number 2, I'll do full credit. But here's a smart question, I suppose. But we'll get number 5. This one's tricky. But whenever you have a contingent remainder followed by a reversion, it could also be an executory limitation followed by a reversion. They usually can go either way with springing. It's hard. It's not easy. Sophia, you guys, you look, you're having a conference. Is this clicking?
Yes, I just had a quick question.
Yeah, please. If you have a question, ask me. I know your friends, but I can't be helped.
I'm stupid, I guess.
No. You guys never. I mean that they're not stupid questions. Only bad questions. Right? No, go ahead.
I just had a quick question. If you would end these areas have a future interest in excavatory limitation in fee simple.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate that. I don't always have time to put all the things, but you're correct, because if the heirs, not everyone has children, right? But everyone has heirs, right? Everyone has heirs. So as soon as B dies, their heir somewhere, they're going to come along and cut short the interest of B, the interest of O. Yeah, Shoddy. No, don't say that.
There are two mutually exclusive ways of describing it.
Correct.
You're just saying these areas have a future rate of simple, and then O has a future interest in murder and subject to not do that.
You're thinking either option one or option two, but you can't merge them. And it really doesn't matter which one you pick. Because again, if you're the lawyer for the heirs of B, you want option number two. And if you're the lawyers for Ollie, you want option number one. And you can argue this in court, and a judge will say which one of you is right. Right? Keep in mind, the reason why these things are so complicated is there's not like a neutral understanding. Different people want different readings, because under option number one, I win. And then option number two, you win, right? So they're going to disagree on this point. If you notice, they got rid of that stupid black metal thing. I actually called to complain after class. They brought this one back, so I'm happy. Little victories in a building, right? It wasn't even screwed tight. I was actually going to screw the things in afterwards. I don't know what that thing is. It's a terrible idea. All right. Are we okay with number 5? We got like a lot more examples. We're making, I think, good progress. Okay, let's go on. Let's do number 6, please. This is, I think, Zach, right? Okay. See, once I see faces, I can start learning names. I usually get names much quicker. I'm actually mad at myself after this semester. I also have a lot of students. I've never had this many students at once. Most I've ever had in one semester. Your year of the LSAT was just insane. You know about this, right? Like your crop of this is the biggest 1L class we've had in I don't know how long, maybe more than a decade. Because you all took the LSAT. Oh, COVID, let me go take the LSAT, right? Right? Yeah. I know. And we had just an insanely large number of admins. So your section is just huge. This upcoming year, the LSATs are down like 10% lower. So the crop should be smaller. It's hard to predict class size. Who, we make an offer, they accept it, they go somewhere else. We never know. So it's a lot of guesswork involved. I never understand it. All right, this is me for Zach. Oh, that's COVID. Let me say for the LSAT. Nothing else to do with my life, right? Yeah. No, look, and you're gonna hate this, but because there's such a glut of law students, employment's gonna be tougher. Because it's not like there are more jobs were created. There are gonna be fewer. Yeah, and think about that, right? When you have a bigger class and roughly the same number of law firm jobs, it's tougher. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that, but it's you have to be aware of that. That's one of the risks of admitting such a large class, because there are just fewer jobs. Sorry. Friends in Denmark, we find, right? But you guys here, they're giving me thumbs up, right? All right, Zach, question number 6. All right, so it says, O conveys to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs if B survives A. What are the present future interests here?
A has a present interest in life estate,
Good.
and then B has a future interest in contingent remainder in fee simple,
Very good.
and then O has a future interest in reversion.
Perfect. I'm not going to walk through every detail because I've done these already. Very good. So again, you're seeing patterns, right? If the first one's contingent remainder, the second one's probably reversion. If the first one is a vested remainder, the second one is probably an executive limitation, right? You start seeing these patterns emerge. And that's your way of doing like a gut check. It's like, wait a minute, this isn't what I usually know. I might be wrong. But that doesn't mean you're wrong, because I can give you a really wacky exam question. But at least you do like a sanity check. All right, everyone with me. All right, this is number 7. It'll be for John. right? So it says, whoa, right? O conveys to A for life, comma. Then to B and her heirs if B survives A. And if B does not survive, A to C and his heirs. All right, so what are the present and future interests here, John?
So A has a present interest in the state,
Okay, very good.
B has a future interest and contingent remainder in the temple,
Good.
and C has a future interest in contingent remainder in the temple.
What do we call when you have these back-to-back contingent remainders?
Alternative contingent remainder.
Very good, right? These are what we call the alternative or alternate contingent remainders. When you have two remainders stacked one after the other, if the first is contingent, the second is really probably contingent, right? Unless something weird happens. Okay, and the reason why it's contingent, I'm sorry, why are they contingent, John, both remainders?
So for contingent remainder, there is a condition precedent.
Correct.
Or there is an unascertained person.
Correct.
And here there's a condition precedent.
Correct. Okay. Everybody with me? Everybody with me? And you're doing them, I think, with pretty good speed, which is important because if you're like spending 10 minutes in these questions, it's kind of like remember those magic eye puzzles? Remember you have to stare at it and like the thing just jumps out at you. It's sort of like that, right? If you just don't look at it, it comes right away. But if you don't, you'll be staring at thing for an hour and nothing. You just don't see it. I never saw them, right? For the life of me, I can never see those magic eye puzzles. You know what I'm talking about? Those magic eye puzzles, like they never worked for me. There's something of Seinfeld about it, where like George's boss couldn't see it. Yeah, Ben.
So in our phrasing for this one, should we say that B has a future interest in an alternative contingent remainder?
I usually don't. You can call them the alternative contingent remainders, but I usually wouldn't put alternative in the first line.
Okay, just say,
Yeah.
just like include a note.
Yeah, I that's how I usually write it. I mean, you're not wrong, but I would. And the reason why I call it alternative because either B or C gets it, right? It's either this remainder kicks in or this remainder kicks in. We don't know which one. So we have one or two choices. But critically, there's no reversion here, right? O has no reversion in question number 7 because there's no circumstance in which O gets it back. It's either going to B or going to C. Never going to O. Yeah, I could never see those magic eye puzzles. Just be staring at it. And they never pop out. My eyes don't work. I don't know. All right, Frank, let's do number 8. So it says O conveys to A for life, comma, then to B and her heirs, comma, but if B does not survive A, to C and his heirs. So I'll start you off. We say that always A has a present interest in life estate. Okay, that's an easy one. What comes next, Frank?
B has vested remainder in B's interest subject to C's shifting executory limitation.
I think that's right. But let's do this one step at a time, right? So first off, what interest follows the life estate here?
The remainder.
How do you know it's a remainder?
Because it's an ascertained person and it's a future interest that follows the limitation.
Okay, you're saying all the right things. Good. Is this remainder vested or contingent? No, look, when I hear this, like, okay, they actually know what they're talking about, right? This means like my last 3 weeks of teaching was for good, right? What is this vested or contingent?
Vested.
Okay, how do you know it's vested?
Goes to an ascertained person.
And
And it doesn't have a condition.
what about this but? There's but if. What about that but if language? After the comma. See, you got it. It becomes second nature, right? Okay, so vest remainder. We'll come back to the rest of it in a minute, Frank. What happens if B does not survive A? Who gets it? Okay, what do we call the future interest here for C? Why is it a shifting executory limitation? Okay, good. It's terminating the transferee's interest. In this case, the transferee is Baker, right? A third party is coming in and killing the vested remainder of B. B has a vested remainder. That's great, but C can destroy it. How? If B does not survive A. So if upon A's death, B is already dead, C destroys that. Okay? Now finish up, Frank. B has a future interest in vested remainder. Finish it up.
Be simple, subject to C shifting executive limitation.
Perfect. Excellent. Good job. Okay. B has a future interest in vested remainder and fee simple, subject to C shifting executory limitation. Either B or C is going to get it, right? If B is still alive, congratulations, you have a fee simple. But if B is dead, C gets it through the shifting executory interest. B's heirs take nothing. Right? Again, B's heirs will take nothing if B dies first. Frank, one more. Does O have any interest here?
No.
O has no interest. O has no reversion. It will never come back to O. Everyone with me? Yes, Alex. Thank you. Correct. Very good, Frank. Thank you. And now, and Alex. How are we doing? Number 8. Making good progress. We'll get to a bunch more. Let's do. No. By the way, if you notice, I skipped 9 through 13. I don't like them. If you want to look at them in the book, they're there, but I'm going to skip them. I send the editor of this book a lot of notes saying I don't like this chapter, no, it's true. They actually made a correction in one of the chapters in response to my thing. The book's been the same for 40 years. They made a correction that I'm very happy about. You'll see it next semester. A lot of the examples they're just so complicated. So let's go to 14. Lexi, okay. So Lexi is issue number 14. O conveys to A and his heirs, comma. But if A dies at issue surviving him, comma, to B and his heirs. All right. So walk me through what are the present and future interests here, Lexi? In 14? Where do you see a life estate? Where do you see a life estate in 14? Are you looking at the same thing I'm looking at? Where do you see a life estate?
I guess I assumed that O had a life estate since he was conveyed.
No. No. What are the present interests here?
A has a present interest in a contingent remainder.
Oh boy, you're lost. You come after class to talk to me.
Overthinking about it.
No, you come talk to me after class. Chloe, what's the present interest here?
A has a present interest in fee simple.
Keep going.
Subject to fees. Shifting executory limitation.
Okay. She's correct. All right. Yeah, oof, right. Let's work this one step at a time. No, I saw where you were going. I wanted to give you the extra 20 seconds. You got there. Good. So it says, Chloe, it says, O conveys to A and his heirs, comma. If I put a period there after heirs, what would A have? I just put a period right there after heirs. Correct. Yeah. If I put a period there, it's fee simple absolute, right? Period. But I put a comma in the word but if. What happens when a condition comes after or subsequent to the fee simple? Usually.
If it,
Not this example, but in general, if you have a fee simple followed by a condition, what might that be? What do you call a fee simple that's followed by a condition, usually or sometimes? What might that be? No, Callie? Okay, good. A lot of you probably saw this. Like, oh, look, the comma's but if, right? There's conditional language after the fee simple, so it's a fee simple subject to a condition subsequent. But that's not correct. Callie, why is this not a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? Louder, I can't hear you.
It doesn't come after the conveyance of the property.
No. How do we know this cannot be a fee simple subject to condition subsequent? It's a very important reason. Callie, what future interest is connected to the fee simple subject to condition subsequent? Right of entry. Is there a right of entry here? Who has a future interest? B. So what do we have here, Callie? Okay. How do you know it's shifting? Okay, very good. Okay, thank you. So what we have here, A has a fee simple subject to an executory limitation. There's no life estate here. You know, maybe if I ask you 10 questions in a row, well, life estate, there's no life estate here. A is a fee simple that's subject to an executory limitation. How do you know it's subject to an executory limitation and not a condition subsequent? You look who has the future interest. The future interest is not an O, right? The future interest does not go back to O. It goes to a third party. B. B has a executory limitation. A future interest, executory limitation. Okay. How do we know this? Because B will cut short A's interest if A dies without issue, as dies without children, right? Usually if A has issue, his issue or heirs will get the property. But if A dies without issue, B is cutting that interest short. And we say it's a shifting executory interest. Callie is correct in this one. Because you're cutting short the interest of the transferee, right? O was the transferor, A was the transferee. B is cutting short the interest of A, the transferee. The interest is shifting. Yes?
Yeah, I'm having trouble distinguishing between the grantor and the transferor.
Grantor and transfer are the same thing.
Okay, so it's the difference, it seems to be transfer and transferee.
What's the difference between a transfer and a transferee?
I think a transferor is the initial person who transfers the initial.
Remember the rule I gave you of how to tell them apart?
No, I don't.
Okay, so the transferee or the grantee ends in the suffix, the ending EE, right? Remember me, give it to me. The transferee is receiving the thing. The transferor or the grantor is giving it. We did this with the gift cases about a month ago, right? The transferor is giving, the transferee is receiving. So here, Ollie is a transferor, he's giving the property. And Alex is a transferee receiving it. Baker is cutting short the interest of the transferee, Alex. That makes sense? Okay, good. Yeah, make such a big deal of the transfer or transferee back in the gift topic anticipation of this topic. You don't even know how things I do, why I do, but there's some logic there. Okay. Chloe, do you see 14? Chloe? Yeah. Callie, you good 14? Everyone else good 14? Okay. All right. Let's try 15. Two more examples. Let's be for, it's Jen, right? Oh, I saw the EN. I saw the N. I was guessing. I see partial names. It's like playing like Wordle in real life, trying to figure out who you are. I've actually never played. I don't do games or any apps, but I've read about it. Actually, it's actually a good analogy. Sometimes the first and last letter. I'm like, what the hell's in the middle? All right, let's do 15. This one's tricky. O conveys to A for life, comma. Meant to be in her heirs, comma. But if B dies under the age of 21, comma. To C and her heirs. All right, so let's do this. What are the present and future interests here, Erin?
It has a present interest in life.
Good. Okay, that's an easy one. Okay.
And then do you have a future interest in contingent remainder?
Why do you say contingent remainder?
In the condition that he be alive and not die for the age of 21. And
Wait a minute. Is that a condition precedent?
no, sorry.
No, it's not. About 3 of you made the same mistake in this class, and Erin's not alone. What's the first one? I can do this all day, right? I can do this all day, right? Cap, right? I can do this all day. I can ask you this question 100 times. You'll keep getting it wrong. The condition comes after the comma.
So
What kind of remainder is this? I'm sorry?
It would be invested.
It's a best remainder. Yeah, again, if you see the condition after the comma, it's not a condition precedent, it's vested. You want to say contingent because there's all this conditional language. You have to fight it, right? You have to fight it. That's why writing exams is easy in this class. I can do the same things over and over again. Okay? All right, so it's a vested remainder. What comes next, Erin?
So then C has future interest.
That's not correct. What is C doing in this case? What is C doing in this case? If B dies under the age of 21, what is C doing to B?
Inheriting.
Not inheriting. What is C doing to B's interest?
Oh, it would be shifting executory interest
Why is it shifting executory interest?
because it's cutting off, it terminates the interest of the transferee.
Correct. C has a future interest in shifting the executory interest. And then so what does B have?
He has a, sorry, just lost my train. He has a future invested remainder subject to these shifting executory interest.
Okay, thank you. And it's infeasible. Okay. Now I want you to see why it's so important that you get the first one, right? If you say this is a contingent remainder, you'll say, oh, it's a pairing, the second one's contingent also. So by making this first mistake, you actually get the second one wrong also. You basically lose almost all credit. Right? I don't get life to say whatever, you get a point or two, right? That's the easy one, right? But if you say that this is contingent, like, oh, I remember Blackman said the second one's contingent also. Wrong. Because the first one's vested remainder subject to executory interest, you get the second one right. So it's a package. If you get one wrong, you get them all wrong. Which is why this is so important to characterize the first interest correctly. There's some questions that I think can be fairly read one of two ways. This is not one of them. This question, I think, is the right answer, which is on the board. Everybody with me on number 15. All right, let's go on to number 16. All right, this is going to be for Elizabeth. O conveys Hartford School Board, comma. But if the premises are not used for school purposes during the next 20 years, to town library. Okay. What's the present interest here, Elizabeth?
Hartford School Board has a present interest in fee simple subject to town library shifting secondary.
That is correct. Good job. Now, a lot of you want to say, oh yeah, but if the school board has a fee simple subject to condition subsequent, right? A lot of you probably thought that. But that's wrong, Elizabeth. Why is that wrong? Why can't that be the right answer?
Because there's no right of,
Correct. Who has a third part? Damn it, they did it. Who has a future interest? Who has a future interest here?
the third.
The third part. I said it. Yeah, but the library has it. Very good. Thank you, Elizabeth. So we say here that the school has a fee simple subject to an executory limitation. And we say that the town library has a future interest in executory limitation. Why is it shifting, Elizabeth?
Because it is
No, you're not wrong. I mean, you're actually wrong. Why is it shifting?
because it is terminating the interest of the transfer.
That's correct. It's terminating the interest of the transferee. In this case, it's the school. So it's a shifting executory limitation, shifting executory limitation. And it's in fee simple. Let me say that loud again. The school has a future interest in fee simple subject to executory limitation, and the library has a future interest in shifting executory limitation in fee simple. O has nothing. O doesn't retain anything for himself. There's no reversion. Shadi?
Why is it a future interest to the school? Would it be a present interest?
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. I typed the wrong thing. Thank you. Always correct me. Alex? I'm sorry, go back to, let me finish 16 first, I'll come back to 15. Everyone see 16. All right, Alex, go ahead on 15. Oh, that's wrong. Yeah. Thank you. So you guys are my proof checkers, right? It's tricky, right? And if I wasn't up here in front of 80 people, I'd be double check my answers 5 times, right? Which is why on the midterm, remember I showed you one of the sample questions, right? I mean, this question is 3 sentences long. You might take 20 minutes on it, right? You might take 20 minutes to write 3 sentences. So, I mean, maybe it's unfair to put you guys on the spot in like 2 seconds, but you got to really read and reread your questions. Yeah, Will.
So it says during the next 20 years. Is that really fee simple, or is that just like years?
No, it's still, it's not a term of years because condition only lasts for 20 years. It's not a term of years. You're thinking actually it's a good thought. But after 20 years, it just becomes a fee simple outright because they don't care how they use it after 2 decades. But it's not a term of years. Yeah.
So in this problem, if it wasn't used for school purposes, instead of going to the library, it went back to O.
No. Why would it go to O? The O has no future interest here.
I'm saying like if it did, if the problem was.
You changed my problem.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't do that. But go ahead and do it.
I'm saying, okay, so if that was the problem, went back to O instead of the town library.
That would be a right of entry.
Okay.
If it went back to O, you would have a fee simple subject condition subsequent followed by right of entry.
Okay.
All right. Questions on 15 or 16? Yes, Jackie.
Okay, so I saw that you took out fee simple after vested remainder. Can you explain why?
It wasn't right. Because it's subject to the condition subsequent, so it's really not fee simple. And the reason why it's not a terrible mistake is the idea of vested remainder. It really is fee simple. That's what a fee simple. That's what a vested remainder means. That's why it wasn't terrible, but it wasn't most precise, so I took it out. Other questions? All right, you'll see on the lesson plan I have, or the class notes I have, about 10 questions. I won't have time for all of them. I'll just pick one. I'll start at the end. Try number 10. All right, Crespin. If I can do maybe two of these before we get. O conveys a sum of money. Ooh, money. To A if she graduates from college. And I tell you that that A is not yet enrolled in college. What are the present and future interests here, Crespin? This is a weird one, right? Well, let's just talk this through in plain language. O writes this conveyance. Who holds on to the money for the kid graduates from college?
So O has the present interest in the sum of money.
He does. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Right. O has the present interest. Never seen that before, have you? What do we call O's present interest? Fee simple period. What happens when the kid graduates from college?
A gets the money.
Okay, so what does A do to O's money? What does A do to O's interest?
O terminates the interest.
All right, so what do we got here? What does A have?
So O has present interest. O has present interest in fee simple subject to A's springing.
Very good. You got it. Excellent. Isn't that weird? O is a present interest in fee simple subject to A's executory limitation. And to finish up, Creston, what does A have?
A has a future interest in free
And why is it springing?
of the transfers.
Very good. Very good. Everyone see that? Cutting off the transfer's interest. There's no intermediary. There's no life estate here. This you can do this, right? This is a good question. It shows you how you can tweak these questions. O's like, here, I'm giving you a gift if you graduate college. And if you don't, I just keep it. It never leaves his hands. Kind of weird, right? Kind of a crappy gift. All right. I have 2 minutes left. I'm not going to try another question. We run out of time. What questions do you, and by the way, all the answers for problems 1 through 10 are in the book. If you want my opinion, skip questions 4, 5, and 7. They're not worth it. I mean, you can do them, but I think I skip them. But all the answers for these are in your books. Not so concerned about it. What's going on? Questions? Things in your mind. Okay, I don't see who's first. You guys at the same time. Zach, then John.
I was gonna ask, with the chart, can you do the executory interest, like fill in that last part of the chart that you.
You know, I never did it. You're right. All right. Well, now I'll need to go a minute over. I'm sorry. I apologize. Where is it? Sorry, I thought you were done, and then Zach dragged you back in. I was a kid, by the way. When I remember distinctly when I was in 2nd grade, the teacher forgot to assign homework, and I reminded her at the end of the day. And that was a rough school bus ride home. That was not a pleasant. I'm that kid, so I hear you. Where is it? Okay, so we have the last row on our blessed table with the fee simple subject to executory limitation. Again, I'm going to go over a few minutes over. I apologize. All right, so let's try this example. Right. From O to A, so long as Blackacre is used for school purposes, otherwise to B. I can do that. I don't have to, but I can do that. Here we have, right? A has a fee simple subject to B's shifting executory interest. And we say that B has a shifting executory interest in fee simple. Good. And let's try a second example. O conveys Blackacre to A for life, then to B if B gives A proper funeral, our favorite question of all time, right? In this question, A has a life estate and O has reversion in fee simple, subject to B's springing executory interest, which is very similar to the question we just did with Crespin a minute ago. Zach, is that good? Is your table now complete?
Yes.
Oh, thank you for reminding me. All right, John, was that your question?
No, my question is kind of what Alex asked about taking the fee simple off of that question, the vested remainder. I don't understand why it's more correct to take that fee simple out of the so don't they have a vested remainder still in fee simple?
Yeah, maybe I shouldn't have taken it out. Who told me to take it out? Someone told me to take it out.
You said that earlier.
Which one?
You had said, I asked you. to-
Which one we at? 15?
Yeah.
You guys are too smart for me. You know what? Yeah, I think, you know what? I would probably put it back in. Well, why did you say take it out? You know what? I get this. What's this? Aren't this wrong? Like, maybe I'm wrong. I doubt myself.
Because earlier you had told someone else in an earlier example, I think it was 13 or 14, that it's not a remainder and be simple because it's subject to.
Open. Well, that was subject to open. Ah, this was in.
No, it is a vested remainder. And they ate.
They said it.
In example eight.
I think it was this one. Was this one?
No.
I'm not sure. We talk about it later. I'm really not sure. If you put vested, if you simple, it's not wrong in that one. All right. Any other questions? That's why I hate this class because we're so smart. All right. You're all smart. You're really smart students. Any questions? Come up. I'll be in my office from chat. Okay. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Yes, sir.
So for life